think it's Paul's turn. I've been looking forward to this. Coming back and forth, and lots of fun, but I don't know exactly what he has up his sleeve. So we're gonna find out. So beware.
This all began sometime maybe in March. Adrian told me that we were Jones in charge of the beginning, and we're not sure just what we should do, what activities we should have, any ideas. And we talked for a while, and after the conversation, I turned to Vivian and told her what we've been talking about, and Vivian went up, and she said, "Why don't you have to Jeopardy?" And I laughed well after. But then it sort of took hold. And after a while, we started Jeopardy. And so originally, at one time, I had planned to have a panel of people here, Adrian among them, and Dwayne and others. And then we would all be working from a script, and we would, have trick questions and fake questions and error questions about a person who was a contestant who didn't recognize that he was the answer to the question, and all that. But as it's unfolding, I think it's best just to do it as a group, and I'll throw those questions out there and hurl the answers back at me. And there are about 70 of these, I want you to know, so we're going to move swiftly. But dinner's at 6 o'clock. Dinner's at 6 o'clock. Well, I am capable of reading slowly. So I want to remind you how Jeopardy works. You actually provide the question to a clue that is given or an answer that is there. For example, and we'll just have a couple of warm-ups so that you remember how it goes. You can go ultra back here. It's the name of the main street of Corsica. What is Main Street? What is Main Street? That is how we want it. It's the name of the state north of South Dakota. It's the year's most recent Wolbrink family reunion. Very well done, everyone. And so we wrote a series of easy questions for like the under 10 set. But as I look around, I don't see somebody in attendance, and so we'll start with some simple questions, and then we'll move on to something slightly more difficult, maybe.
Is there a prize at the end?
There's a prize at the end. There are 3 prizes at the end.
How can you track it?
I know in advance who's going to get it. So, it's the name given to the Wolbrink family farm by descendants of Jacob and Hannah. You don't even need to answer that. It was Grandma Wolbrink's favorite automobile manufacturer. So this is, again, these are the 10-year-old questions. It's the South Dakota state bird. That's right, the housefly right behind me. It's the name of the farm machine that separates cream from milk. A road trip to this destination culminated in standing on the nose of the president. The year South Dakota became a state. What is teenage knowledge? We want to run this as thoroughly as possible. The type of house built by early European immigrants in South Dakota was fashioned with this earthy material. What is that house? This house, this is for kids really, this house, there was one on every farm until 80 years ago, was not actually in the house. This is the name for a building that houses chickens. What is a coop? Speaking of chickens, this again was for kids. A so-called brood or broody hen wants to sit on its eggs and raise a family rather than let humans take the eggs. This is what a broody hen does to your hand when you reach under it to retrieve an egg. What is bloody? It's the name given to a tower that used renewable energy to pump water from the aquifer to stock tanks and houses. I thought my language might obscure that, but no. And it was interesting that someone mentioned this last night. It was Ruth, I believe. It's the name for an early telephone system in which several families on different farms shared the same line. And I want to tell you, when we were in Illinois, it was still our party line. There were probably a dozen different houses on that line. And if you are calling up a girl to ask her for a date, you know, on a party line, you can hear people picking up on that line. They even got a whole throng. That was like the cell phone. It was entertainment for people to listen to these conversations. It's the 1862 Act that made it possible for people with few resources to become owners of 160-acre farms. This one, I don't know that anybody can get this one, but it's something I remember from 9 years old at the home place. It's the Dutch name for a hearty breakfast of hot bacon fat ladled on a slice of bread and topped with syrup.
What is red roast?
It's good to see Dutch is extending into the current era. Now, is that a healthy breakfast? It is if you're in the wheel rolling on my right. Oh, what were the variants?
We called it fat and syrup.
Oh, fat and syrup, yeah, which is?
Yeah.
So this is for the kids. It's the middle of nowhere South Dakota shopping bag that should have been named Wolbrink drug. It's the name for a South Dakota rabbit that has horns. And see how long it takes to get this. It's the real residence 30 miles from Stickney that houses colonels. And finally, it's a big island in the Mediterranean Sea, north of Sardinia.
Corsica.
So I have some Generation 1 clues here, and they're almost redundant because we've been talking about all these things for the last 24 hours. But this year, Grandpa Wolbrink was born. It was Grandpa Wolbrink's original profession before he bought land and became a farmer. These were the number of acres Grandpa Wolbrink bought when he was 25 years old. A quarter of five, which is 160. I think it's 640, right? And then in 1916, he bought another quarter. But it could be that he was farming an extra 10 acres. You know, I'm pretty sure Grandpa was a pretty cagey guy. There was a surname, the last name of Grandpa Wolbrink's mother prior to her marriage. The surname of Grandpa Wolbrink's mother. Stop. Right. And I think in Dutch, someone correct me, but I think they always said stop. Right? Stop. This is the English or Americanized first name of Grandpa Wolbrink's mother. Yeah, it was tree. This one's bizarre. This was the name of the ship that Grandpa sailed on when he immigrated with the Wolbrink family to America, and we got this school in that in the West Coast. It was on down one, not to be confused with 2 and 3. This was correct, yes. One more.
Don't talk too fast.
Not too fast. Everybody was getting tired. I'm trying to speed through these things. Okay? I'll let you savor them, just a little bit. This is Grandma Wolbrink's last name when she was a girl. Well, since Brower is an occupational name like Fletcher, a maker of arrows, or Archer, a person who shoots them, or Cooper, a maker of arrows and cats, which one might put on, for example. This was the occupation of a Brower. Brewer. It is brewers. You come from a family of brewers, people who are making beer by the cast load, sipping actions. But Brower is brewing. The number of children of the Brower family. We learned that last night. Close. It is 8. This Midwest city is listed as the birthplace of Grandma Wolbrink. A college in this city was attended by William Wolbrink, Gertrude Hasselman, Gideon Wolbrink, William Barrington, Jamie Wolbrink, Rod Kublins, Paul Wolbrink, Vivian Wolbrink, Harriet Wolbrink, Joe Rankin, and Martha Wolbrink Shaw. Big representation from the Greeks. Grandma Wolbrink's father, the guy who emigrated to Pella, was named Cheers, T-J-E-R-D, and then W-Y-E-S, and he was Brower. This was the maiden name of Grandma Wolbrink's mother, and it came up last night. Milton, or Nellie, yes. And Nellie's mother, if you just want to know the extra DNA inputs in the line, Nellie's mother was a Camp, spelled with a K, and Cheer's mother was a Young, E-J-O-N-G. These were the ages of Jacob Wolbrink and Patty Brower on their wedding day.
What are 28 and 20?
Very close. It's actually 27 and 20. But Jacob was born May 4, 1875, and Patty born January 17. She had just turned 20. The age of Grandma Wolbrink when their first child, Richard, was born. Yeah. So we can call it, well, it's what, 21, that's right. But here, there's another one. It was the age of Grandma Wolbrink when their last child, Jacob Jr., was born. Now, it would be a grandfather, how old she is from the last child. So, first child at age 21, last child at age...
What is 40?
This came up last night. Grandma and Grandma Wolbrink had several large delights during their lifetime. This is an enormous pad with a chef. And you must remember, Brenda was misidentified as chef last night when the picture came up. I know Harlan has been grieving that just a little bit. People would not recognize Brenda after all these years. They're the names that Jacob had his oldest and youngest grandsons. This question I thought was reasonably clear. I could hurry up to provide me with this one, but we had a picture of it last night. So they are?
Brewer, Allen, and Dewey.
Yes. And then this one I had for the children, and this was Grandma and Grandma Wolbrink's favorite television program.
Hardly. Or 12.
Trick question. They never watch television. But that would lead into the whole discussion of how many other things were not available. So we'll move on to generation 2. I'm just going to call them Gen 2, and those are the parents, those cousins who are here. This Gen 2 sibling had a postal note after retiring from farming. This Gen 2 sibling had a double glider iron swing outside the farmhouse that permitted users to sit beside or opposite one another. Katie. Now, I don't know that others in here would remember that, but it's, I don't know, Jane and I and Harriet and Martha, we all have this memory of this double glider swing, and I'm sure there were others in the community, but that was it. We loved going there, swing. Sometimes we go there and we realize it had never been used since the year before. It was debris that gathered in it. Gen 2 sibling attended electronics school. Each Gen 2 sibling was a go-to guy in Stickney for broken plow blades. The distant state that this Gen 2 brother-in-law was fascinated by and eventually traveled to. It is Alaska, and it is right. He just had it. I mean, that was a lifelong dream to go there, and he plotted and planned, and it eventually happened, right? Yeah.
And we also took them there in 1987. We took them there in 1987.
Okay. Oh, okay. So he was there twice.
Yes.
And then once by boat, the second time?
We also did an airplane.
Oh.
And he had a delay of how many years on account of Dorothy?
One.
1 year?
No, it was. It was about 8 years. He would come to the shop, talk about the area, and then we were with our
Spreading the last of fever. These Gen 2 families were comprised of 2 girls and a boy. Well done, but there's more. These Gen 2 families were the reverse, 2 boys and a girl. No, there are 3. Yeah, Richard, 2 boys and a girl. Sarah, absolutely. So this one was for the kiddies as well, but it's something that I admire and think of occasionally. This Gen 2 sibling who was milking cows by hand could pull the cow's teat sideways and send a stream of milk into the open mouth of a barn pit sitting 4 feet away. Well, did Uncle Charles do that? Oh, okay. I never witnessed Uncle Charles, but Uncle Junior was legendary in our family. We were doing that, and it's amazing to watch. So you get it. So, this Gen 2 sibling had children that memorized thousands of Bible verses.
And Nellie.
And how many thousands? Oh, no, I'm older than this, and somebody, I think it was Sarah, was up to like 2,000. possibly. But become magnified in my mind over the years. I know it's what it's happening. There was some competition, and Harold was one of them. Right, this Gen 2 sibling leading his family from a small town in Minnesota to its largest city. That's what it was, yeah. Previous generation. So we're in, moved the family from Bridgeton, Minnesota, to Bloomington, Indiana, which is a suburb of, you know, I don't know, was it separate at that time? No, never mind. This is Paul, Uncle Junior, used at milking time to get cows to come to the barn. Now, if you say kebab, I was trying to tell my sisters this, but that's what I remember when the practice all the time. My elderly boys. This was the only Gen 2 sibling to marry someone who was not a member of the Reformed Church. Right. He was a heretic. My mother was a Quaker at one time, and that was maybe Methodist at the time that they were married. But definitely no John Calvin or anything else there. This Gen 2 sibling, born in 1916, on July 26th, would be 109 years old today. It is also good. Honest. After Sarah and Orville's wedding, the farm wagon ended up in the roof of the home place because of this custom.
What is chivalry?
And sure, there are few people in here who don't know a lot about chivalry, but I can tell you that my earliest certain memory occurred at age 3, right around my 3rd birthday, when we were here in South Dakota. I had my 7th birthday. It was 1949, and Sarah and Orville were married maybe a couple of days earlier, and we were at the home place, and suddenly the yard lights were cut, and suddenly there were these people out in the yard running around. There was a chaotic scene. The equation for me was being a settler being surrounded by Native Americans. Thought at the time, unfortunately no longer do, but I really thought we were in trouble. And that was age 3. And then,
Who was 100 years old?
this Gen 2 sister-in-law and brother-in-law were also brother and sister. This came out of my head. I don't know. It'll mean anything to any of you. During the Depression, several families left the Harrison, Corsica area and struck out for Southern California, where they became dairy farmers. Many of them settled in this community in what's now Greater Los Angeles. No. Bellflower would be one of them, like Artesia was the one I was thinking of. But they became dairy farmers there, and then the city of Los Angeles moved out, and the property, the farms they had, suddenly became very valuable. And they ended up quite prosperous as a result of overpopulation. So that was it. But I have this other question, which will speak to what you just said. This family that moved to California, related to the Wolbrinks, became nut farmers. tending groves of walnuts and pecans. And that strip line, and those are the postmates. Yeah, that's how I know the city. Yeah. Postmates. P-O-S-T-M-A.
They said pasta.
Did they say pasta? Okay. I don't remember this from any spots. Well, we just visited once in California to get us tours of their fruit or their nut plantations.
What they call it, they grew.
They what?
What did they call what they, the nuts they grew?
Almonds. Oh, almonds. Oh, they had nectarines as well?
What relative were they to?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, give me those.
Her grandma's second youngest sister.
Same section as Dwayne, to the west there, quarter mile from the corner, is where the Postmas, Bosmas live, Dewey and. So they were near neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're close to neighbors.
So,
Pete Bosma must have walked without shoes a lot, because Dad talked about there was an alfalfa field between their place and our place, and Pete could walk across that alfalfa field after it was cut barefoot.
and live to tell them it.
Do I have time to tell one other little story?
Absolutely, you want the mic?
Yeah.
Put it up?
Yeah.
Give him the mic.
Dad often remarked about Dewey Postman. He said he was deathly scared of storms. And whenever there was a storm brewing in the evening, or during the night, he'd be standing at the end of the driveway looking for a storm. And when they moved to California, Dad said he could have might as well just stayed in bed all those nights because the house is still standing and they're in California.
I hope that's on videotape. That's great.
There's one more connection with the Postmas, we always said Postma.
Judy.
But Charlie Postma, which would have been a son,
A son of Uncle.
all right, his daughter Judy was at Central College the same time as
Well, so I have to go back and rewrite that one clue that had all those
Edit.
They had a son named Charles also, and I think he still lives there.
Maybe Wolbrink family reunion 28 in Ripon, California. So, moving to Gen 3. This Gen 3 cousin moved from the chaotic New York City area to an even faster city in the Midwest.
Who was Lois?
Who moved to?
Rapid City.
Absolutely. What could be faster than that? Only supersonic city. This Gen 3 cousin built an X-ray machine in high school and was featured in the Minneapolis Star Tribune. Very definitely Jaeger. I remember being there and visiting them at one point, and he showed me the newspaper article. It was all pretty impressive.
Actually, that's the story behind the Mountain Park Coral.
because to get the high voltage, that's the long story behind the Model T spark coil. Because it needed a high voltage to get a spark across the O&A vacuum tube to make the x-rays. And so that's when I got the Model T spark coil and could make a high enough voltage to what? You probably were wondering, why would I have a Model T spark coil? That's why.
I wanted to see what else was in your basement. Pliers and... So this Gen 3 cousin with a horse, lariat, and chaps made the rounds on the rodeo circuit.
Who was the way?
I might have exaggerated a little bit, I might have been the entire international rodeo circuit, but nevertheless, I was the guy who knew his horses. This Gen 3 cousin lived abroad in Oman and St. Croix. And a follow-up, instead of traveling the globe, this Gen 3 cousin published it. This Gen 3 cousin's daughter was crowned Mrs. Nebraska in 2004 and National Mrs. in 2006. This cousin went from Hope College to Yale University and became the director of music at Church of the Redeemer in New Haven, Connecticut.
Who was that?
Alice, the oldest son of Uncle Richard and Annie. This cousin's first name shares 3 letters and is a near rhyme for the town Grandpa Wolbrink was born in. This cousin's first name shares 3 letters and is a near rhyme for the town Grandpa Wolbrink was born in. What town was he born in? Grandpa Wolbrink. It's Holland, right? Okay. Do you have anybody here who has 3 of those letters of Holland and is a near rhyme? Harlan! Harlan! Of course! I just had a couple of these questions to my sisters when I was writing them. This was probably 3 weeks ago or a month ago. Carrie had blasted back and said, "Oh, this is a question that nobody's going to be able to answer." Okay, so this is, I'm going to give you a real abbreviation on this one. I'm just going to say one, a single word. Oliver. Daryl, that's it. Yeah. I mean, Daryl had, I don't know if he still does, but he had a fascination with motor tractors, all things green. Yeah.
And Daryl is the president of HPOCA for South Dakota. They're going to have a national Oliver Hard Par in Madison in about 3 weeks. And Daryl's in charge of it.
That's my question for the next reunion. Who's in charge of the Oliver Society? That's phenomenal. So I'll do one more like that, but it's just a single word, plumbing. This cousin's first name means peace in Greek.
If it's your own name, you may answer.
I'm sorry.
I said if it's your own name, you may answer.
Is there anybody here?
My family spoke Dutch.
Not too much Greek in here. Well, the name for peace in Greek is Irene. I think I reused that probably, it was just, didn't want to, Irene. Irene means peace in Greek. Oh, yeah. Peace. Yeah. The super master, or a child. After she's going to take after you with a big rolling pin or something. Peace! Irene!
It was one time when the raise your edge of the wax paper container. It was bad, that. What's that?
The razor edge of a wax paper.
The cutting edge of the wax paper. You were mad. You were going to cut me up. Be careful, man.
She always said sharp fingernails.
I did.
She also had sharp fingernails, and I didn't like, unfortunately. Keep her mouth shut. I corrected that every time.
She'll do it.
Next question before we're ready.
Geez, the studio audience taking over the show. So, when we got to slightly recollection in the 1960s and 70s, Who's Who in America was a standard reference book found in every library. This cousin was among the elite recognized in Who's Who in America. I may be the only person who knows the answer to this, but when I mentioned it in the 60s. But it was Jim Wolbrink. And Jim had gone to Hope College for a couple of years. He then transferred to Ohio State at Ames. He did a couple of things there that were noteworthy that I won't go into, but I think he had a strong physics background and went out to Oakland to maybe one of the nuclear labs or something like that, because he was also a pretty gifted writer. He started writing papers for scientists who couldn't express themselves very well in the translation of some of their ideas. And I think that is why he gained his fame in Who's Who. Who's Who was a difficult publication to crack. Later on, they started offering it to people in exchange for, like I was offered Who's Who among American teachers, they wanted me to buy the book, So the whole idea was that you gave all this recognition to people, but the whole thing was a scam where they were trying to profit. But Who's Who was a legitimate reference for it in the 1970s.
I had the same thing with
Yeah. Right, yeah. Well, I would go to the Spring Lake High School library, we had Who's Who there, and every once in a while, just to remind myself of what a peon I was in my little job, I would open it up to Jim Wolbrink and read the stuff. New York, the Chicago Mountain National Boat Race was held last weekend. This Gen 3 cousin also sailed Lake Michigan. Can't say it's Northern Glory over there. This cousin's granddaughter attended TCU as part of the women's air rifle team that won a national championship in 2019. That's our lead. These Gen 3 sisters-in-law were also sisters. Come slowly, yeah. So if you didn't hear that, the way this Gen 2 custom intended naval aviation officer candidates for one of their pilot ambulance flights. This doesn't remove his clerical collar when you go to Harley and Sturgis. And this go-to cuz for all things tech is filmed and preserved hours and hours of Wolbrink family reunions. And he is back there. And Merle, maybe you want to take this moment to give a plug for your YouTube channel. You want to say anything about that?
On my YouTube channel, I have 17 videos of all the cousin reunions that I taped. And they're all in a list. They call that a list now. What is it called? Just search on YouTube for Wolbrink Cousin Reunions, and it's going to come right up. And it will show all 17 videos that I put on. I couldn't include all into one video, so I would split some of the reunions into 2 or 3. So there'd be 3 video recordings for one cousin reunion. But I have 17 videos there. I don't know how many reunions that is. It could be 8 of them or 9 of them. They're on my YouTube channel.
So Merlin, on your YouTube, is it the same place to find the video of the machine shop rehabilitation?
Yeah, that'll be in there too.
So,
Yep.
I don't know how many of these people know about that.
Yeah, there's in Delmont now. There's they set up a new blacksmith shop, and they took a drive shaft and a couple of tools that used to be in Stickney over to Delmont, and they redid the whole thing, and they're making it work over in Delmont. And I recorded that, put that on YouTube. And it's Uncle Garrett's stuff in there.
My follow-up is that this will save you several $100s a year. I'm canceling my HBO and Netflix. I'm just going to watch Wolbrink reunion videos. I have surprises, and I want to sing a song together, but I want to give you a clue. Probably will elude you, but it leads into the song. But I have these...
If you were unable to hear the questions and answers of Paul's Wolbrink Jeopardy game, I am going to read them now. It's the name for the main street in Corsica. What is Main Street? It's the name of the state north of South Dakota. What is North Dakota? It's the year of the most recent Wolbrink family reunion. What is 2025? It's the name given to the Wolbrink family farm by descendants of Jacob and Hattie. What is home place? It was Grandpa Wolbrink's favorite automobile manufacturer. What is Studebaker? It's the South Dakota state bird. What is ring-necked pheasant? It's the name for the farm machine that separates cream from milk. What is separator? The year South Dakota became a state. What is 1889? A type of house built by early European immigrants in South Dakota was fashioned of this earthy material. What is sod? This house, there was one on every farm until 80 years ago, was not actually in the house. What is an outhouse? This is the name for a building that houses chickens. What is a coop? Speaking of chickens, A so-called brood or broody hen wants to sit on its eggs and raise a family rather than let humans take the eggs. This is what a broody hen does to your hand when you reach under it to retrieve an egg. What is Pexit? It's the name given to a tower that used renewable energy to pump water from the aquifer to stock tanks and houses. What is a windmill? It's the name for an early telephone system in which several families on different farms shared the same line. What is a party line? It's the 1862 act that made it possible for people with few resources to become owners of 160-acre farms. What is the Homestead Act? It's the Dutch name for a hearty breakfast of hot bacon fat ladled on a slice of bread and topped with syrup. What is Vet and Stroop? It's the middle of nowhere South Dakota shopping mecca that should have been named Wolbrink Drug. What is Wall Drug? It's the name for a South Dakota rabbit that has horns. What is Jackalope? It's the regal residence 30 miles from Stickney that houses colonels. What is the Corn Palace? It's the big island in the Mediterranean Sea north of Sardinia. What is Corsica? Now Generation 1 clues. It's the year that Grandpa Wolbrink was born. What is 1875? It was Grandpa Wolbrink's original profession before he bought land and became a farmer. What is carpenter? There were the number of acres Grandpa Wolbrink bought when he was 25 years old. What is 160 acres? A quarter section. In 1916, he bought another quarter. It was the surname, the last name, of Grandpa Wolbrink's mother prior to her marriage. What is Stop? This was the English, Americanized first name of Grandpa Wolbrink's mother. What is Trina? This was the name of the ship that Grandpa sailed on when he immigrated with the Wolbrink family to America. What is the SS Zaandam 1? In service from 1882 to 1897. This was Grandma Wolbrink's last name when she was a girl. What is Brower? Brower is an occupational name like Fletcher, a maker of arrows, or Archer, a person who shoots them, or Cooper, a maker of barrels or casks. This was the occupation of a Brower. What is Brewer? The number of children in the Brower family. What is 8? This Midwest city is listed as the birthplace of Grandma Wolbrink. What is Pella, Iowa? A college in this city was attended by William Wolbrink, Gertrude Hasselman, Gideon Wolbrink, Lorraine Barrickman, Janie Wolbrink, Rod Koopmans, Paul Wolbrink, Vivian Wolbrink, Harriet Wolbrink, Joe Rankin, and Martha Wolbrink Schultz. What is Pella, City of Refuge? Grandma Wolbrink's father, the guy who immigrated to Pella, was named Jared Wibes Brower, 1836 to 1913. This was the maiden name of Grandma Wolbrink's mother. What is Nelje Nellie Vander Score, 1845 to 1907. Her mother was a Camp. Jared's mother was a DeYoung. These were the ages of Jacob Wolbrink and Hattie Wolbrink on their wedding day. What is 27 and 20? Married February 18, 1903. Jacob born May 4, 1875. Hattie born January 17, 1883. It was the age of Grandma Wolbrink when their first child, Richard, was born. What is 21? Richard was born on June 1, 1904. It was the age of Grandma Wolbrink when their last child, Jacob Jr., was born. What is 42? Jacob Jr., born January 31, 1925. Grandpa and Grandma Wolbrink had several dogs during their lifetime. This was the name of them. What is Shep? They're the names of Jacob and Hattie's oldest and youngest grandsons, who are Ellen and Dwayne. This was Grandpa and Grandma Wolbrink's favorite television program. This was a trick question. They didn't have TV. Generation 2 clues. This Generation 2 sibling had a postal route after retiring from farming. Who is Uncle John? This Generation 2 sibling had a double glider iron swing outside the farmhouse that permitted users to sit beside or opposite one another. Who is Aunt Katie? This Generation 2 sibling attended electronics school and opened an electronics repair business in Sheldon, Iowa. Who is Richard, Wolbrink Electric? This Generation 2 sibling was the go-to guy in Stickney for broken plow blades. Who is Garrett? The distant state that this Generation 2 brother-in-law was fascinated by and eventually traveled to. What is Alaska? Richard Dykstra. These Generation 2 families were comprised of 2 girls and a boy, who are Charles, John, and Jacob Jr. These Generation 2 families were the reverse, 2 boys and a girl, who are Richard and Sarah. This Generation 2 sibling, when he was milking cows by hand, could pull a cow's teat sideways and send a stream of milk into the open mouth of a barn cat sitting 4 feet away. Who is Jacob Jr.? This Generation 2 sibling had children that memorized thousands of Bible verses. Who is Aunt Nellie? This Generation 2 sibling moved his family from a small town in Minnesota to its largest city. Who is William? This Generation 2 brothers and a future brother-in-law took a road trip to the Black Hills and stood on the nose of George Washington. Who are John, Gideon, Richard Dykstra, and one other. This is the call Uncle Junior used at milking time to get cows to come to the barn. What is Kaboss? Kaboss. This was the only Generation 2 sibling to marry someone who was not a member of the Reformed Church. Who is Gideon? This Generation 2 sibling, born in 1916 on July 26, would be 109 years old today. Who is Gideon? After Sarah and Orville's wedding, a farm wagon ended up on the roof of the home place because of this custom. What is chivalry? This Generation 2 sister-in-law and brother-in-law were also brother and sister, who are Marie and Charlie. During the Depression, several families left the Harrison, Corsica area and struck out for Southern California, where they became dairy farmers. Many of them settled in this community in what is now Greater Los Angeles. What is Artesia? This family that moved to California, related to the Wolbrinks, became nut farmers, tending groves of walnuts and pecans. Who are the Postmas? Generation 3 clues. This Generation 3 cousin moved from the chaotic New York City area to an even faster city in the Midwest. Who is Lois? Rapid City. This Generation 3 cousin built an X-ray machine in high school and was featured in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Who is Adrian? This Generation 3 cousin, with a horse, lariat, and chaps, made the rounds on the rodeo circuit. Who is Dwayne? This Generation 3 cousin lived abroad in Oman and St. Croix. Who is Janie? Instead of traveling the globe, this Generation 3 cousin published it. Who is Mary Nigebauer? This Generation 3 cousin's daughter was crowned Mrs. Nebraska in 2004 and National Mrs. in 2006. Who is Harold? This cousin went from Hope College to Yale University and became the director of music at Church of the Redeemer in New Haven, Connecticut. Who is Ellen? This cousin's first name shares 3 letters and is a near rhyme for the town Grandpa Wolbrink was born in. Who is Harlan? Oliver. Who is Daryl? Klopman. Who is Adrian? This cousin's first name means peace in Greek. Who is Irene? In the 1960s and 70s, Who's Who in America was a standard reference book found in every library. This cousin was among the elite recognized in Who's Who. Who is Jim Wolbrink? The Chicago Mackinac boat race was held last weekend. This Generation 3 cousin also sailed Lake Michigan. Who is David? This cousin's granddaughter attended TCU as part of the women's air rifle team that won a national championship in 2019. Who is Arlene? This generation's sister-in-law were also sisters. Who are Bernetta Wolbrink and Lorraine DeBoer? This Generation 2 cousin attended Naval Aviation Officers Candidate School and later piloted fixed-wing ambulance flights. Who is Gary Wolbrink? This cousin removed his clerical collar when he rode his Harley into Sturgis. Who is Dean? This go-to cuz for all things tech has filmed and preserved hours and hours of Wolbrink reunions. Who is Merlin? This ends all the questions from the Wolbrink Jeopardy game Saturday afternoon with a 2025 cousin reunion.
Belt coasters, if you will, or tiles, cork on the back that SS Down in 1882 to 1897. And I'm going to award them to the contestants who contributed the most today, whom I determined in advance. And one of them, my longtime cuz from 1946. Of course, you did know most of the answers anyway, but we're a fellow 46ers. The second one goes to someone who will be attending college in fall for his freshman year. He is going to a college called St. Olaf, and I did the anagram of that, and it's Olaf. So I'm not sure just what the curriculum is like. But at any rate, Gideon bears the name proudly, but has been in his family for a long time. Gideon, here's some dorm decoration for you. And then the third one is just going to send to the home place, and Dwayne can put it on the table in the kitchen, and somebody can end up with it sometime in the long list of Jacob Jr. and help his descendants. So. These are not that old, in retail for less than half. Considerably less than half. So my final question for you, and we're all broken right outdoors and take our naps and gather in. Uncle Junior had a small 45 RPM record player that was kept on top of the refrigerator in the kitchen of a home place. He had a limited collection of records, perhaps only one. This was the tune on one side of the record. First of all, record players were a little bit scarce at the time that as children we were at the home place. And it was a modest record player for sure, just a 40-45 player, small disc. anyone ever, I think this, I'll bet you 20 times.
I heard it too.
Okay, well, I'm gonna sing it today. So that's, on the lyric is, it isn't a G code, it's an S-M-I-L-E. You all know that? And then the second verse is, it isn't any trouble, just an L-A-U-G-H. The third verse is, it isn't any trouble, just a G-R-I-N, grin. And the fourth verse, it isn't any trouble, just a ha. So let's see, we've had some music from other people a little while ago, and let's see how we can do this. Singing this with Fran, she does the record. Let's start with. Yeah. It isn't any trouble. It isn't any trouble, just an S-M-I-L-E. Smile when you're in trouble. It'll vanish like a bubble if you only take the trouble just to S-M-I-L-E. It isn't any trouble, just an L-A-U-G-H. It isn't any trouble, just an L-A-U-G-H. So laugh when you're in trouble. It will vanish like a bubble if you only take the trouble just to L-A-U-G-H. It isn't any trouble, just a G-R-I-N grin. It isn't any trouble, just a G-R-I-N grin. It isn't any trouble, just to vanish like a bubble if you only take the trouble, just a G-R-I-N grin. It isn't any trouble, just to ha-ha-ha-ha. It isn't any trouble, just to ha-ha-ha-ha. So laugh when you're in trouble. It will vanish like a bubble, slow down. If you only take the trouble just to Anyone wants to keep her these questions? You email that to me.
I tell you, the more I learn about my cousins, the more talents I find out. To do something I want to know more about. How many books did you write, Paul? Well, you wrote some chapters of them. Yeah. Wolbrink are humble too. So. Yeah, we got a tremendous amount of talent. So you know, one of the rumors that I heard is after church service tomorrow, the choir may have CDs out in the hall. Or maybe that is a rumor. I don't know. Right. Yeah, well, we're not done yet. Not done yet. Together we enjoyed it. I think we appreciate everybody else that's participating too, doing various parts of it. We do have, some people are interested in some things and other things, and so we kind of call them, I use the term breakout sessions, either from now till whenever. But Fran brought one of her programs a few years ago, and this lady seemed to really enjoy it, and so she's done a variety of them. So one of the breakout sessions that's going to be available shortly is for the ladies to go to, is to hear about the history of handkerchiefs. And she's kind of got set up over there, so they'll be available if anybody wants to go there. But my word that I've heard is that it was interesting to tour the cemetery this morning, and I think that the cemetery is still open. Some people are just dying to get into it. And the church, I really enjoy church buildings, of course, but I really learned a lot. They've done a beautiful job with the church there. It's really a beautiful place to worship and praise God. So anybody can want to go see it a bit now this evening and this morning to worship with us. But it's well worth it, going to church is worth it anytime, but it's really, they've done a beautiful job. It's an impressive time. So, and then at the home place, my word is that, we call it dinner somewhere, none of us that anymore. But we'll be available approximately at 6 o'clock there. And if you haven't eaten good enough to eat now, it'll be good, I promise you. I'm not worried about that. Now, one thing that I did not, I kind of didn't put on the program, but I kind of forgot to do, maybe I'm on denial of reality or something like that, but is we usually about now we have a bunch of ice cream. But just before that, a little business meeting. And I think it was 1993 that we had the first cousin reunion. Yeah, a little bit will verify that, is that right? And so we had it, of course, the pandemic grouped it up a little bit there, but everybody, I have never heard anybody who has come to the cousin reunion said they didn't wish they had gone. It's been a great time, each one of us. Part of the reason that the cousin reunion was started was that the cousin said, the old folks are getting old. And if you remember the stats that I had yesterday, the old folks are getting old. And, we can feel that with the, several of us who were not able to be here for various health reasons, besides, of course, the death of Jerry since last time. There, we're just pretty remarkable that there are the group that there are. So, I don't have any ideas for this next step, but I guess if we wanted to continue, we need people to do it. And so we're open for discussion, I guess, about what we ought to do from here, where we ought to go from here. Yeah, we got everybody. So speechless. I got a good time doing it. It's thought, but once I got into it and started calling Paul and other talented people, it really turned into a fun time. So that it really has come together real well. But we kind of traded around before, and that really has worked best to do that. So I'm looking for ideas.
Do you just want us to throw some ideas out?
Go throw some ideas out. Throw them out.
Well, originally when we started, we had said these families, and we're like, so we had it all tried out, but I think that is a fade. So all I was going to say is some of the ideas that came up this time around was, of course, Merlin, now you told us where we can actually see all your videos. We talked about Merlin and spliced together some memories of all of the tapes that he had taken, and that would be the main end of the video. It occurred to me that as I was putting together this photo show, I used mom and dad's old photos just because I was short on time and that's what I had access to, besides the family photos. But everybody has interesting photos, in there, wherever that you can find them. I don't know exactly how we would put them together, but then each family would show a few slides of, that are special to them from the other ones. It's just another thought.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like Paul's addition of the third generation here, because that's one thing that we attempt to do a little bit, and I don't know if we caught that, but focus on it. It was mentioned a couple of times. We hear about Grandpa and Grandma, Jason and Hattie, and their the trunk of the tree, and we are going to always talk here about them, but the next generation, and Alpha is a lot of stories there, and then, but we know a lot of those stories, and so that's part of the reason we shared Gideon and William, and especially focused on, because those are the ones we know, and so that's an idea that's a potential to carry on as well. Well, the location is, we did do a little bit of research to see is there another location. Housing is, for some of us, is a bit of a challenge here. There's one place that happened to come across this one story that in Mitchell, I thought, well, that might be, it's a little more of a upscale venue, but they were not available this weekend right there in Mitchell. We have done it in Plankton or a couple other places in the past too. And some of the media reviews said some of those, so some of those other settings is close to the home place, because the home place is, we all enjoy at least getting back there. That's really the route, so not too far away, but there may be venues and so on. This works best, and I'm driving out there in the park out there without air conditioning, like we did several of them. That's some really good times, and that's where watermelon really tasted good about it. Those times. So, but maybe there are, and it is more difficult. We get, it's our meetings and families are the ones who are there. If we get some people here from a distance, and think about what cousins are available and so on available to do that. It's a bit of a realize the challenge, the families and everything else that's going on. What, 1,300 games, is that what David has in the list now? And it's about 90 of them Saturday, but it's been a good enough group to have a good time together. So, I guess that ideas for a lot of the other, but I don't have any ideas for here. Unless, sometimes they aren't done forever either, so that's a possibility. They do the meeting reunion every year, and we will occasionally come out for that. It's been just been basically a Saturday, but when we come out, sometimes we come a little bit early and there's a couple of others or something. So, but that's done pretty much every year. So it's available.
Who's in charge in 3 years?
Well, that's the biggest question in a certain extent. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Well, I'm an outlaw.
Yeah, that is the key question, though, who is available to do it. And it did work very well to kind of have those two families for several times. Now last time it's been kind of 3 families. It was kind of interesting, actually. 3 years ago when we decided, we kind of said, well, Williams House Grown Company, and probably there were 3 families, but nobody else could remember who the third one was. The Junior family has done very good with the food here and the local arrangements. Who the third one was, we kind of lost track of. So, and down the list would be Sarah and the Junior's family. So this, yeah, well,
they were the last two, but I think the list changed a little bit. Just have a little more. We just have a bunch of old folks.
Speak for yourself and all the rest of us, right? That's true. Well, it is true for us, speaking for us too. And, you know, we can do well, but once in a while, 3 years gonna do. Yeah, well, that's right. If we've got people that are involved who are willing to help the next generation or, you know, have the interest that they, the excitement that we as cousins did, well, about 30 years ago to do it, that's the clue. Oh, there he is, okay. We're just hiding, I'm not going to cut down. We're with team and your family. That's the
I talked to Jason this morning, and he said he would commit to do it again in 3 years.
That's, boy, what more do you need? If we got food, what more do you need? That's, yeah, right. Yeah. Right, yeah, do the same thing, do the same thing as the lot of us would remember. Somebody said Sarah's family. Where are we there? We're willing to kind of help out there. They're kind of next on the list. There's something nice too about, you know, something. We got the locals really are the support of the group organization. They have somebody who's now, maybe there's something about the next generation who's kind of say they'll help us. And it goes on the rest of it. There are too many families that are just, they can't go with it.